Hi everyone, welcome to Sunny Day Discussions. I am Sunny Day, and today I want to go over a group called True the Vote. Now, this is a conspiracy theory promoting group that had to admit that it has no evidence of voter fraud in Georgia. The True the Vote was featured in Dinesh D'Souza's 2000 Mules. Yeah, I think that's what it was. It claimed that ballot mules worked with a network of left-wing organizations to steal the vote for Joe Biden. The group was praised by Trump and sycophants alike for exposing, the corruption and the voter fraud and all that kind of stuff. In response to a subpoena for any evidence supporting these claims, they could not provide any. In a court filing, True the Vote said that it did not have any records of the supposed network of non-governmental organizations it had alleged facilitated a massive ballot trafficking scheme. It admitted to having no contact information for sources that had apparently provided the group with a detailed account of the ballot scheme. It could not provide any information on the researchers, the investigators that it had claimed gave them all this information. So basically they had nothing. And when they refused to hand over information to the subpoena, a court in Georgia said that they had to. So therefore, they didn't have a choice. They decided they couldn't hand anything over because they have nothing. And it just turned out that they could find no evidence of all this voter fraud that they had claimed gave the election to Joe Biden in lieu of President Trump. The True the Vote did claim that they gave the Georgia Bureau of Investigation's cell phone data that would show that there was a cell phone signal at multiple ballot drop-off boxes, that the pings were related to nonprofit groups, the ones that they claim were working to steal the vote. Now, the cell phone data was incomplete and imprecise because of the fact that the ballot drop-off places were in public places like libraries, governmental buildings that people could justifiably return to again and again. So yeah, they had nothing. They got nothing. As we all knew, anyone with any sort of common sense and intelligence knew they had nothing. Now, another GOP failure is the star witness against Hunter Biden. He was arrested and charged with making false statements to the FBI. In making their case, the GOP lawmakers have pointed to conversations with the confidential source, Alexander Smirnov. Smirnov claimed that the head of the Ukrainian energy company Burisma told him he had paid both President Biden and Hunter Biden $5 million. The DOJ wrote a press release announcing the grand jury indictment saying, quote, "As alleged in the indictment, the events that Smirnov first reported to the FBI agent in June 2020 were fabrications." It continued with, quote, "The indictment alleges that the defendant transformed his routine and unextraordinary business contacts with Burisma in 2017 and later into bribery allegations against public official number one, Joe Biden, after expressing bias against Biden and his presidential candidacy." Smirnov was arrested on Valentine's Day at an airport. He was charged with making false and fictitious records, and if convicted, he faces a maximum penalty of 25 years in prison. Now, we all knew that there was nothing there, that it was a big flop from the beginning. All of the GOP's witnesses have all testified that they know nothing about criminal dealings with Joe Biden involved. So it's just nothing. It's performative. All it is show, because Trump has all of these horrible things happening to him. They have to, in their minds, say, well, see, Joe Biden's just as bad. And that's just not the case. So here's an interesting little poll from 2019. I'd be curious to see what a new poll would be. But in 2019, there's a U.gov survey that took place in Germany. And the survey found that Germans considered Trump the most dangerous threat to world peace. They were asked to rank the greatest threats to world peace in order, and the first one was 41% to Trump, 17% to Kim Jong-un, 8% to Vladimir Putin, 8% to Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, and 7% to Chinese President Xi Jinping. And now some could argue that Biden is now the current greatest threat to world peace. However, if you listen to Trump's statements on NATO recently, he was encouraging Russia to go after allies if they didn't pay their fair share. I would say he's a decent candidate for being the number one threat to world peace. He's also the number one threat to American democracy. Now, to end on a little bit of a lighter note here, there is an Acorn cop. In Tuscaloosa, Florida, there was a officer who arrived at a scene of a guy driving around honking his horn, causing a nuisance. So he cuffed the guy and put him in his cruiser. And then all of a sudden, the body cam footage, you hear, shots fired, and you see him spinning and spinning on the ground saying, I've been hit. And he empties his clip into his cruiser. Assuming that the person who was handcuffed with the cuffs behind his back, who had allegedly been frisked prior to being handcuffed and put in the back of the cruiser, was firing at him. And because this cop was firing at his cruiser, saying shots fired, his partner or another cop that was there as backup started opening fire as well. Luckily, the guy in the back of the car was not hurt, but he was strapped into his seatbelt. He was handcuffed. The only thing he could do was just kind of hunker down the best he could and hope that he didn't get hit. Well, investigators went over the body cam footage and they could not hear a shot. The only thing that they saw was an acorn hitting the police cruiser on the roof. Now, this cop thought that an acorn hitting the roof of his cruiser was a silencer on a weapon. As well as he swore up and down that he had been hit. He felt something, he said, hit his left shoulder or something like that. Obviously he hadn't. There were no shots fired. It was a freaking acorn. Well, he ended up resigning, which is a good thing. And I think his partner, the backup, should probably be written up in some way, shape, or form. Because I don't think cops should be allowed to, hey, my fellow cop is shooting, so I'm going to open fire as well. That's how 87 bullets hit a guy with a cell phone. Because one cop gets jumpy, opens fire, and then the rest open fire as well as backup. So that's all I have for you today. If you like, share, subscribe, ring that bell, all that good stuff. Vote, no matter how big, how small, how inconsequential, your vote matters, and read everything you can get your hands on. And I'll see you next time.